Jason too. How are you?
How are you? Good to see you.
Good holiday?
Yes, you do?
Nice day, Sunday.
Yeah, oh yeah.
Ben's not coming. His first awards, the first 6 were all his nice. So
And tell me to turn. I'm like, why is it telling me to turn? I know these preferences. So just everything. The baby's gonna be eating. That's great. 4.5 hours.
you got some free time. Hey, this time right now.
Oh, okay. No. Clients are getting it. And she's like, "Girls, that's happening, this are great." Just making sure I wasn't in her shoes.
She's not getting the time. It was.
No, Ben's not.
Okay, we're gonna call this meeting to order at 6:30 PM. Meeting of the Finance Committee of the Stratford Board of Education. It's Tuesday, May 28th. I'm Kristen Bedell, the chair. All right. I do confirm that we have a quorum. Let's get started. I need the first item is an acceptance of the minutes from our regular April 10th, 2024 meeting.
So moved. A second?
Motion by Mr. O'Brien, second by Mr. Henrik. All in favor?
Aye.
Any opposed? Motion passes 7-0. Next item up for business is items for discussion or possible action, budget transfers. I'm going to hand it over to Pam to start discussing the budget transfers.
Sure, happy to. The first budget transfer is due to the increase in legal expenses resulting in a deficit in those accounts. So we're asking you to approve the transfer of savings from electricity accounts that I have explained the rationale for that in the past. And this will offset the deficit in the amount of $145,000. That is what we are projecting our deficit to be at this point in time. I'm sure this will more than likely increase, and we will probably have to come back to the board.
Okay. Any discussion or questions for Pam?
Yes. Through you, Chairwoman, to Ms. Mangini, what was the original budgeted amount in that line item?
Let's see, I believe it was 110, but I'm just going to go to the financial report here to confirm that for you. Yes, it was 100, actually this was 120,000.
Okay, so it's almost double,
That's correct.
really double, yeah.
Any further questions? Mr. Cormier?
What's the reason for that high increase?
Well, primarily what I've reported to you in the past during budget season when we've been asked for information on the pending litigations and also the presence of the attorney at board meetings. So the combination has increased it.
Got it.
Pam, I have a quick question. Is that just breaking even on the account, or is that leaving a little bit of room?
I think it's leaving, no, it's leaving about $5,000. So that's why I'm almost certain that we'll be coming back to you on that.
Any further questions? Mr. Henry?
What line item is that under?
It's in the 300s under the financial report. And you won't see a deficit reflected there at this time because report is at April 30th. It's on the second page. In the 300s, you'll see line 42 that says legal services.
So it says so where estimated expense, it says 330, adjusted budget 341, expenditure 247.
Right, we are asking you to do a transfer based on the pending invoices that we currently have to pay. We know that we're $140,000 in deficit.
And those current invoices are 330,000?
No, they're approximately the ones that we have created a deficit are about 140,000. What this is telling you is that as of April 30th, we have expensed $247,245 from that account. We encumbered $71,911, and this is for regular legal services as well as special education. So at April 30th, you had a small balance. We have now eaten that balance with the pending invoices, and we anticipate needing an additional $145,000.
Okay, so the budgeted amount isn't in here then? That's what it is.
Correct, the adjustments have not been included. So once we do if you approve this transfer in the adjustments, you'll see an additional 145. The adjusted budget will then jump up to, I'm doing this in my head, so $456,000.
So, I'm just trying, what was the original, we have a bunch of numbers there, which one of these was the original budgeted number?
The original budgeted number was the first column, $330,500.
Okay, so it wasn't, I got you. So on top of what we budgeted, which was 330, 500,000, we're adding 140 plus or minus. Thank you.
Any further questions for Ms. Mangini?
Just, point of clarification, Kim. Ms. D'Angelo Powers asked, what was budgeted, it was a when something?
120 for the regular education side, which is where we take contract negotiations, and then we had another 110 on the special education.
Okay, so the 330, 500 that Mr. Henrik was just actually referencing, that was like the total of the two combined.
Correct.
Okay, I was just confused because I had the same number that Mike had, and then I was confused by that. Okay.
Yeah, no, I can see where it can be confusing.
All right.
Gotcha.
Thank you.
Make a motion to approve?
Second.
Motion to approve by Mr. Henrik, second by Mr. Kennedy. Let's take a roll call vote. Ms. Carol Fabian?
Yes.
Mr. O'Brien?
Yes.
Mr. Henrik?
Yes.
Mr. Kennedy?
Yes.
Mr. Cormier?
Yes.
Ms. D'Angelo Powers?
Yes.
And the chair votes yes. Motion passes 7-0. Pam, over to you for Ms. Mangini, sorry. Over to you for the second budget transfer.
Okay, budget transfer number 2 is based on a need because of the increase in the unused sick payouts due to the large number of retirements for fiscal year 2024. We're recommending that we utilize the available balances and benefits to offset this cost, and the total budget transfer amount is $256,243.71.
Any questions for Ms. Mangini? Ms. Fabian?
Ms. Mangini, I know it's a larger amount of retirements. Would you say on average, like, how much more retirements are we seeing this year versus normal years?
I would say that we probably have about 6 to 8 more than we've had over the last few years. We've averaged around 10 to 12, and we're around 18 or 19 right now. And we do budget based on our historical, so the budget in this line item was $260,000, but our liability for that line is over $510,000.
For the unused sick.
Yeah, and that's contractual.
Yeah. Any other questions for Ms. Mangini? Mr. Henry?
And just, so these, but these are savings also by the number of retirements, these are savings.
Right.
The balance that we're pulling from is the savings.
It's not a savings in this year's budget, it's a savings in fiscal year '25. The savings that we're taking from are the savings in benefits because of the positions we haven't filled this year. So we continuously talk about the savings in salaries because of unfilled positions, as well as people coming in, leaving us after a short while, and then filling them again. So we do have quite a bit of savings in those areas. So every time we save money on a position, we're not only saving salary, we're also saving benefits, FICA, health insurance, etc.
Thank you.
At this point, have all retirements been reported?
They are obligated to do so by April 1st, so yes.
Thank you. Any further questions?
Pam, do you know offhand what was the total amount, total number of retirements?
I believe it was 19.
Any further questions? Okay, we'll take a roll call vote. Yeah. Ms. Carl-Fabian?
Yes.
Mr. O'Brien?
Yes.
Mr. Henrik?
Yes.
Mr. Kennedy?
Yes.
Mr. Cormier?
Yes.
Ms. D'Angelo Powers?
Yes.
And the chair votes yes. Motion passes 7-0. Ms. Mangini, over to you for budget transfer number 3.
Okay, we are requesting permission to purchase Chromebooks for the incoming 9th grade class, as well as smart boards that are not currently in a couple of our classrooms in the middle and elementary schools. And we're recommending that we utilize savings from electricity and gas accounts in the total amount of $132,797.60. And Matt's not here this evening, so I just wanted to share his input. He was kind enough to write up a little summary. He wanted to share that at the start of COVID, we only had one-to-one at the high school, and we had classroom-based Chromebooks at the middle school level. During and after COVID, the previous IT director made one-to-ones for all secondary. We found that to be necessary with all we were going through. But that caused a hole for the incoming 7th graders. We've actually been backfilling with graduating senior Chromebooks, so that means they're pretty old at that point. But as Matt points out, it's not really equitable, even though we do get more years of usage. So this transfer will finally fill the need created by COVID, and moving forward, we will only need to worry about once-a-year order for the incoming 7th graders, which they will carry all the way to their graduating year. And I will tell you, it is a little bit unusual to keep Chromebooks with students for 6 years. Usually they're replaced 7th and usually 9th or 10th grade. So I give our IT department a lot of credit because they're really good at repairing and just maintaining them. So that is the reason he was hoping to utilize some of this year-end balance for the Chromebooks.
Great. Any further questions?
So just, you have a quote confirmation here?
Yes.
116,000, about 117,000, that's for the actual Chromebooks?
Yes.
And then the other 16,000 is, it says Google Chrome Education Upgrade.
That's actually, let me get to where you are. And we make sure we have the quotes there. Let's see. Okay, you're looking at the first quote for the Chromebooks and the upgrades. And then there should be, let's see, the total there. Okay, I believe the additional that you're seeing is for the smart boards, I'm sorry.
Great. Yeah, it just doesn't necessarily say.
No,
Smart
it
board,
doesn't,
but
I
that's-
agree. I will confirm that for you, but I believe that's what that
That's on
additional.
the page behind it, with the smart MX 55-inch interactive display. Those are the smart boards with the wall mounts and all the cables and sound systems.
Okay, gotcha. Okay, thank you.
Take a motion to approve budget transfer number 3.
Second.
Motion by Mr. Hendrick, second by Ms. Carol Fabian. We'll take a roll call vote. Ms. Carol Fabian?
Yes.
Mr. O'Brien?
Yes.
Mr. Hendrick?
Yes.
Mr. Kennedy?
Yes.
Mr. Cormier?
Yes.
Ms. D'Angelo Powers?
Yes.
And the chair votes yes. Motion passes 7-0. One more budget transfer number 4, Ms. Mangini.
Yes. This is a purchase of custodial equipment for elementary and middle schools, and Mr. Ruggiero is here to speak to it, but he's hoping to utilize his available balance from a few of his accounts, including the service contracts and building maintenance and repair accounts. The total budget transfer is in the amount of $45,390.
Mr. Ruggiero, anything to add?
Oh, they're actually right-on machines that they use for, doing all the stripping, the waxing, and doing the floors. Plus a couple other odds and ends for bathroom floors and kitchen floors, scrubbers. Most of our equipment is pretty old, and we had 3 that reached a point that we can't fix anymore. So they just got
Ousted.
ousted.
Right. Any questions for Mr. Ruggiero or Ms. Mangini?
So you have one bill here for 4,500 for Clark DFC 400 bathroom cleaner, and then you have another bill for about 40,000.
Correct.
Is that where that total number comes from?
Yes.
Okay.
So
And
this,
and this says flood, equals, so they'll be able to move them from school to school?
it'll get delivered. When we purchase them, they'll get delivered to those schools.
Okay, oh, I see, it says 2 and 2.
Yeah.
Right, flood, okay. And then what is the bathroom?
So it's a kind of a stand-up scrubber, that's about yay wide. And when they did a demo for us, it just, the floors came so clean. I've never seen one of these before. And I was like, if I could purchase 2 of those, that would be great. Because if I did have to move them, I could. They're one person could pick it up. It's kind of heavy, but one person could pick it up if I need to move it to another school. But they just work great. In the cafeteria, they did a sample in the caf, brought the tile like right back to new again. So I thought it was definitely worth investing in. The other ones are Chariot ride-on machines.
Yep.
One that you sit on and the other 2 just stand.
Okay. So it's $4,500 if you had your druthers, I guess. How many would you get?
I would probably purchase at least 6 of them. I want to see how these work.
Okay,
We have monies in the budget for other equipment for next year,
okay.
so we'll see how that goes. But yeah, if I was able to get more, I really want to see how they work.
So before you bought the additional ones, you want to see them work? Okay. I was just going to mention, we're going to be discussing our capital improvement
Yeah.
plan later.
Right.
So,
The stand-up and the ride-on, I know how they operate. That's what we use now.
yep,
But these other scrubbers, we've never had them before.
okay,
But the demo, they worked great.
okay. When would you know? Like, when are you getting them?
As soon as we get approved.
So basically, I mean, if we approve them today, we approve them at our board meeting, when would you know?
I can get them right away,
When would you know if you wanted more?
before the end of June,
Okay,
for sure.
okay, thanks.
Mr. Cormier?
Mr. Drew,
Yeah.
you said you thought you were ordering 2 of the bathroom cleaners?
Yeah, there should be.
There's
Is there
only
just
one
one?
on the.
There's only one on the
Oh,
invoice.
well, then I'll take the one, but I could have sworn the one. I could have sworn I had said I wanted to get 2 of them, but I'll take the one.
Any further questions for Mr. Ruggiero or Ms. Mangini on budget transfer number 4?
No, that's it.
Motion approved.
So,
Second.
motion by Mr. Hendrick, second by Mr. O'Brien. We'll take a roll call vote. Ms. Carol Fabian?
Yes.
Mr.
Yes.
O'Brien?
Yes.
Mr. Hendrick?
Yes.
Mr. Kennedy?
Yes.
Mr. Cormier?
Yes.
Ms. D'Angelo Powers?
Yes.
And the chair votes yes. Budget transfer number 4 passes 7-0. Let's see. Ms. Mangini, I'm going to go back to you again for an update on this year's expenditures and encumbrances.
Sure. Just note please that the financial status report that you have reflects our financial position at April 30th of 2024. And as my financial status report, which is the narrative, shares with you, we are looking currently at a balance of about $1.5 million for salaries. and almost 600,000 in benefits. And again, this is primarily as a result, as I said all school year, of positions simply not being filled or remaining filled. There's been a lot of transiency in both certified and non-certified positions. So again, this is as of April. We make our assumptions based on the fact that we will fill those positions for May and June, and quite frankly, we're really not filling many of them for May, so I'm certain this will increase somewhat. In addition to that, it's an offset to those savings by the significant deficit in the 300 accounts, which include your clinical costs, which are special education costs, services for our special ed students. I note that this is a very fluid area, so we did not yet come to you with the transfer. You can see where some of the savings are that will offset this deficit, but you will probably wait till the year ends and just have a final number, so the board can just do one transfer. We really can't control that number, and we certainly can't stop the spending there. We need to adhere to the needs of our students in that area. And this area also reflects the legal deficit that's projected as well. In addition, the property services, as I've been reporting, we do have a significant savings that we are anticipating in electricity, some of which we asked you if we could transfer out this evening. While we had that savings, the good news is we were able to take that savings as we moved into fiscal year '25. And that was primarily due to that anticipated PURA tax that did not get through legislation. And the other area in the 400s, again, is just to bear in mind that as we report to you in April, we're really only looking at our utility invoices paid through March. Actually, it's mid-March. So again, we constantly analyze and tighten those numbers each month as we report to you. The 500 accounts is showing a significant deficit as well, a little over $1 million. But please note that it's offset by a projected small balance in workers' comp. I'm being very conservative about that number because we are averaging $5,000 to $7,000 a week. For our workers' comp costs, and last week it jumped up to $30,000. We really have absolutely no control over that number. We look at our historical data and we hope for the best each year. We are trending overall pretty well, and we do anticipate some savings there, but we will certainly continue to update you on those numbers. Then when you get to the 600s, you are again seeing some year-end projected balance, and that is because of natural gas. Again, it was a combination of a mild winter coupled with some estimates that were a little bit high that DBS, you guys are estimating for us, have taken another look at, and they tightened it for fiscal year '25. But again, it's really based on your estimate on degree days and what the winter is going to be like. And since none of us have a crystal ball, we do the best that we can, as does DBS. So I think they've been pretty good, but we will keep an eye on that. 700 equipment, we anticipate that being spent down as planned. And the 800 account for dues and fees, we're anticipating about a $15,000 balance. As you'll recall, there was that $95,000 from the 21st century. We utilized over almost $80,000 of it to offset the unexpected extra cost of the town property insurance. I think you approved that at the last meeting. So I'm anticipating about a $15,000 balance there, and that brings us to a year-end balance of a little under $1 million. As I said, I do expect that to go up, just based on what I'm seeing with positions still not being filled. So I'm happy to answer any questions.
Any questions for Ms. Mangini?
So, with all those numbers, do you have a total projected deficit or surplus for year end?
That's the almost $1,984,496 as of April 3rd.
Okay. And that's inclusive of everything?
Correct.
Okay.
Any further questions? Okay, seeing none, we'll move on to the grants update from Ms. Mangini.
Okay. thank Susan Nicholson for putting this together for us. Again, this report reflects information at April 30th. And I just would suggest that your main focus be on those grants that end on June 30th of 2024. And I'd like you to understand that we are really carefully monitoring those. We're working with Chris Carroll, who's been kind enough to help us out a few hours a week, and Susan and I, and we worked with various program managers to make certain that we had all necessary revisions submitted to the state by May 1st, which is the deadline. And we're pretty much on track to spend down all of those dollars. We're struggling a little bit with our non-public schools in town, and Chris has been great working very closely with them to make certain that they spend their portions that were mandated to provide them. So we're not in bad shape.
So are there any grant funds that are unspoken for at this point, or they're pretty, I mean, other than what you just mentioned, there's...
Absolutely none, and there almost never are. I will say that as a district, we're really good at not only the state entitlement grants and federal entitlement grants that we need to submit a very detailed budget, but we're really careful about adhering to the budget plan and monitoring it throughout the year. With the loss of Dr. Clenny, we did have a little hiccup for a while, but being the tremendous team that I work with here, everybody pitched in, and I think we're in a really good place.
Any other questions on the grants for Ms. Mangini?
I got one there.
Mr. O'Brien?
And the adult education, that would be for the continuing ed programs, and then Trumbull students, Trumbull pays us for them, right?
They do, that's correct, yes.
Thanks.
Any further questions? Okay, Ms. Borges is not with us tonight, so we will skip the special ed report, or do you have,
Actually, I think she provided
She
you
did.
with the information. I'm trying to do this. Pretty much the same information that I shared with the deficits in the same areas: clinical costs, ed outplacements, transportation, and tuition. And she also noted that we currently serve 1,376 students with exceptionalities, and she does note that she's up about 24 students from last month. And that they are carefully monitoring their budget as well. And even with Ms. Borges wearing two hats at the moment, we're still meeting continuously, talking about special education costs and concerns.
I think Ms. Borges will be with us for the board meeting. If anybody has any questions for her, maybe we can hold them until then.
Just while would you know what our year-end number of students with exceptionalities was last year?
I do not.
Okay.
I'm guessing.
I'll probably forget by the time it gets to the end, so.
I say it was just over 12.
Yeah, that's kind of where I
Like 12
was.
on
Yeah.
that.
So we're up about 170.
Okay, we'll move on to the food services report.
Okay. Food service. Actually, we are still trending favorably. We did have a very unique opportunity, which I plan to report at the board meeting, but we are never allowed to utilize anything in food service fund balance to pay unpaid meals. The state has offered a one-time opportunity, and it was a very quick turnaround, so we did in fact submit our application last week. So we are anticipating that to be as high as $100,000 for this year, cost of unpaid meals. So hopefully we'll get approved. I will absolutely keep you updated on that. But that's still trending really well in that area. And we have been able to utilize a lot of the money that's the overage that we're not allowed to keep in that fund balance and must use to benefit the program on new equipment, which has been long overdue. So we're really moving along very well for that program.
Is that application or that one-time state opportunity in response to the entire state asking for the same thing?
Everyone has been struggling with how to manage the unpaid meal charges because they are so high in every district. I don't know what the absolute answer is to mitigating that as we go forward, but at the moment
How will that 100,000 affect us going into next year? Will it, do you see
It will
any
be-
kinds of deficit or anything?
No,
occurring?
it will be minimal because we do have such a healthy balance, and we just revised our spend down plan. We had one portion of the spend down plan that we're allowed to keep for unanticipated costs, and we took it from that amount. We should be fine.
Any further questions, Mr. Furman?
Just for clarification, so we're currently short about 81,000 in the grant.
Correct.
Is about 100 currently, which will probably go up to by the end of the year, and then we have that 100,000 that's coming in, so.
That's what we've asked for. It's our money. It's in our food service fund, program fund.
That's great, 'cause we're just having that conversation, and we just asked you to help us out in policy, so thank you.
And is this is for this year?
Correct.
Do we have any unresolved balances from years past?
We're not allowed to carry them over from year to year. Anytime we have unresolved balances in unpaid meals,
Mhm.
the district Board of Ed operating budget must pay that balance.
Any further questions? And we'll move on to the enrollment and registration update with Ms. Mangini again.
Okay. I leave myself notes and then I can't find them, so bear with me. Okay, there we go. Your enrollment report as of May 1 reflects a net increase of 10 students, and primarily those students were at the elementary level and mostly at Soto, but we also had 2 to 3 at Chapel, Franklin, and Nichols. As I've shared with you before, this is probably the first district I've ever been in where registration never ends. People are clamoring to move into Stratford, but we do constantly have additional registration. In addition, I just wanted to comment that our kindergarten registration is moving along quite well, and it looks like, while our numbers, of course, are lower than they currently are, we do continue with registration all throughout the summer, and it looks like we're pretty much heading in the same direction as we were last year at this time.
Any questions on enrollment, Mr. Furman?
This might be a Ms. Borges' question. Do we know what percentage of the waiver requests for kindergarten are being approved? And they're in the middle, I think they're in the middle of, do we know?
I probably will leave that to Ms. Burgess, but I believe it's just about all of them. I think we
Are
were,
being approved?
yeah, we are basically, as long as they have to do the testing, and as long as there's nothing that is of concern, they will.
That's going to give us a hit next year. Kindergarten is going to be
Correct.
slammed with at least another 100, or we would run like 100, I think she said, per waiver. So it's an extra 100 students, not in this year, but next year kindergarten is going to get hit.
Yeah,
Okay.
that's what we're anticipating at this point, but that can change because we're kind of making that assumption based on what we think parents are going to want to do.
All right, thank you.
It could change.
Any further questions? Okay, moving on to the next item, other business, old, new, any discussion to be had? No? Okay. Then we can move on to adjournment. If anybody wants to move.
Motion to adjourn.
Mr. O'Brien,
Seconded.
second by Ms. D'Angelo Powers. Our next meeting is scheduled for June 12th, 2024. See you all then.